So we're talking today to start off with slope-intercept form. And the slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. You have to memorize that. You must know when I say slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. But there are two parts that you need to know about that equation, about that form. What does m stand for, Josiah? Do you remember what m stood for? The slope. And who remembers what slope means? Yeah, it just means rise over run. And we're going to see that again. Slope, which means rise over run. What does B stand for, Matthew?
Y-intercept.
Y-intercept. And some people ask, Mr. A, why do you call it slope-intercept form? The reason we call it slope-intercept form is because it gives us the slope and the Y-intercept. So it's in the name. And then what I had a good question in the last class. They're like, okay, yeah, you told us what M is and what B is, but what do Y and X stand for? I'm going to answer that question when we start graphing because they stand for something. They're not meaningless, or there's fillers for this one. Okay, then we looked at, or before we looked at standard form, and you need to know this format, AX plus BY equals C. So you need to know this right here. And there are two parts I need to know about it. And I know you wrote this already down, but I need you to write it again because you have to memorize it. I'm not going to ask you to look at your notes during your quiz to find out what's standard form, what's slope-intercept. You got to know it. So writing it down helps you out. All right, AX plus BY equals C. And here's how I'm going to put it. You have an X term, you have a Y term, and they're on one side. And then you have a C. Does anyone remember what the C is called? It's called a constant. And what is a constant? Something that does not, vary. Does not change or vary. So the C doesn't have a variable. Okay, it's by itself, it's just a number. Okay, for us, A, B, and C are going to be integers. So these three numbers are going to be integers. And then what do I mean by A and B are not both 0? What do I mean by that? Yes, ma'am?
Like one could be 0 and the other can't be 0.
Okay, if one is 0, the other one can't be 0. If this one's 0, that one can't be 0. At the same time, they cannot both be 0, but one of them can be 0 at one time. Okay, so please memorize that. Yes, sir? The last screen? Mm-hmm. So your slope and your Y-intercept. And we're going to look at both of these today because they're both very helpful. In fact, we don't go through this in our curriculum. I'm going to go through it with you guys to show you. Standard form is very nice. It gives us a lot of info just in one equation. But I'm going to move here. Okay, so you need to get that down. And then let's move on to a problem we're going to have to do. Okay, the first thing we want to do here is we want to be able to convert an equation in standard form into slope-intercept form. So that's one of the things we're going to do today in our homework, which I'll give you practice on now and during your homework. Okay, is this in standard form? Is the X term and the Y term on one side? Yes. Is the constant on the other? Yes. Standard form. And by the way, X comes before Y, so I hope you guys know that. What's A? Henry?
4.
What's B? Eva?
2.
What's C? Sophie?
8.
Okay, so you guys should be able to identify those numbers, and they're all positive, by the way. In this case, very nice that they're all positive. Okay, that's standard form, but I want to get it into what format? Slope-intercept. Okay, looking at slope-intercept, Natalie, what is by itself in slope-intercept? Looking at slope-intercept form, what is all by itself? So you can look at it in your notes. You should have slope-intercept as blah, 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 blah. What's by itself? Slope-intercept. Yes, you said it. Y. You see how it's Y equals mx plus b? Y is by itself. So looking at standard form, is Y by itself? No. How do I get it by itself? Well, that's what we're going to have to answer. Okay, first of all, when I say by itself, I mean, do you remember what we said about equations? We're talking about a scale with two sides. One side of this scale has what? 4x plus 2y. The other side has 8. All right, on this side of the scale is y by itself. No, I want to get it by itself. So here's how I'm going to go through that process. We've done this before. What's happening to y first? It's being multiplied by 2, then added with 4x. How do I undo that? Subtract 4x from both sides. All right, be careful with that. We've done this a little bit. You guys did it on the boards. If you were on one of those teams or if you're a judge, you had to check that. So what's 4x minus 4x? 0. I'm left with 2y on the left side. And then on the right side, listen carefully. Do I write it 8 minus 4x? How do I write it? Negative 4x plus 8. Wait, I thought it was a subtraction, now it turned into addition. What sign does 8 have up here?
Positive.
Positive. What sign does 4x have?
Negative.
Do they still keep their same signs? Yes, I kept the same expression. But is y by itself? No. What has to happen to y to get it all by itself? Divided by 2. Good. A lot of you know what to do. But what you do to one side, you got to do to the other. You're going to divide everything by 2. I think this group and that group had that going on where you divide everything by the same number. What's 2y divided by 2? Y. Okay, and here was where people get tripped up a little bit. What's negative 4x divided by 2? Negative 2x. And what's 8 divided by 2? So you got plus 4. What does that look like? Slope-intercept form. So y equals negative 2x plus 4. That's slope-intercept form. Okay, here is what I'm going to do. Maybe you didn't follow me completely, but do you understand we're doing something we've done before? Just trying to get one variable by itself? Okay. But standard form, I could have looked at standard form. You could have looked at standard form and gotten me slope-intercept form by looking at it. So how many of you like shortcuts? If you don't, I can move on. Okay, we tend to like shortcuts, but how in the world is it in standard form? Okay, standard form, you need to know what A, B, and C are. So I'm going to dim it a little bit. You need to know what A, is that too dim? Because that's kind of hazy right now. Okay, don't fall asleep on me. You guys should know in standard form what A, B, and C are, right? Okay, the slope is there. It's right there. Do you see it? You're like, no, I don't see it. Well, I see it over there, but not here. Okay. What is A in standard form? 4. What's B? All right. What's 4 divided by 2? Opposite of that? That's the slope. That's what the slope is. You can look at standard form and do that process. You get the slope. But the Y-intercept, I don't think that's there. The Y-intercept. Okay, what's C? 8. What's B? 2. What's 8 divided by 2? That's your Y-intercept. You get it just by looking at it. Now you're like, is that just like some kind of trick? No. You did that process. Do you remember here? What did you do with that 4? You first subtracted it. So what did you do? Change the sign. And then what did you do after that? You divided it by 2. That's what we did in our heads to get the shortcut. And then how in the world did we get that 4? Well, what did you do to both sides at the end? You divided by 2. So what did you do to that 8? You divided by 2. You got your 4. So I don't expect you to get that shortcut. In Algebra 1 I do. But do you see that you can get this format directly from standard form? Do you see? I mean, some of you follow me a bit. And if not, you can go a long way and still find it. But I said standard form was good. And it is. Do you guys remember X and Y intercepts? Okay. The Y-intercept, I hope you can find, just divide by 2. You know how you can find the X-intercept? All you have to do is do this. Divide 8 by 4. What's the X-intercept? 2. That's it. Figured it out. Standard form is very nice. We like it. Again, I don't expect you to know all that. But I want you to get this into slope-intercept form. Is that in standard form? Yes. Get in slope-intercept form. I want it in y equals mx plus b. This is the format I want. So please go ahead and do it. So remember, in slope-intercept form, what is all by itself? Y. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, oh man, Y is not by itself. So get it by itself by using your algebraic principles. And really you're using your properties again because that's just the basis of math. Okay. Drew, what's happening to Y in this equation? With?
5x.
How do you undo that?
Subtract 5x.
From? All right, subtract 5x from both sides. And what am I left with? Philip.
Negative 5x y equals negative 5x minus 2.
Negative 5x minus 2. Is that slope-intercept form? Yes. Why didn't I write negative 2 minus 5x? Because that's equally valid as far as math goes.
Because the x comes for the
Yeah, that's tough. The x term comes before the constant in slope-intercept. Or you could say just the x comes first. Okay, that's it. How many of you got that? Okay, ready? Could you have gotten that from standard form? Yep. What's A? 5. What's B?
1.
What's 5 divided by 1? Opposite of 5? Got it. Okay, what's C to get my y-intercept? What's C? Negative 2. What's B? What's negative 2 divided by 1? That's my y-intercept. It's right there in standard form. Can anyone give me my x-intercept? See if you guys are paying attention. I got my y-intercept. How do I get my x? I'm sorry. This is how I got my y. I did negative 2 divided by 1. How do I get my x? Alex is slowly raising his... Oh, okay. Anyone? It's a division problem. Philip?
Negative 2.5.
I think you're close. I think you switched the numbers. It's negative 2 over 5. You just do negative 2 divided by 5, which is negative 0.4, if you want to get a decimal. Okay. Again, you don't have to know that, but you will later on. All right, let's move on to the next part. Go ahead and draw me a graph. A 3 by 3 by 3 by 3. So it doesn't have to be a big graph, but just big enough so you can point some things out, and then I'll give you some points. The second type of problem I'm going to give to you today is where I give you the graph. So I'm going to give you all this info on the graph that I draw up, and you're going to have to give me an equation from it. So you're going to get the graph, they're going to give you all that, and you have to come up with an equation. So let's see if we can figure that out. A 3 by 3 by 3 by 3. Okay. Let's go with, make sure I get the right numbers. Oh, yes. Negative 2, excuse me. Yeah, negative 2, 0. Negative 2, 0. Put that on the graph. Negative 2, 0. So here's your first point. And the second point is 0, negative 2. So switch those around. 0, negative 2. Where would that go? 0, left to right, down 2. Got your second point. So this one right here was 0, negative 2. And this one was negative 2, 0. Are they the same thing? No, because of what? The position of those numbers. They're not the same thing. Go ahead and connect them. Get line going there. Okay, so this is going to be given to you. This is all going to be given, but I want us to get practice. Okay, I want you to write the slope-intercept form of this line right here, is what I'm going to ask. Give me the slope-intercept form of this line. Like, how do you do that? First, I want you to find, what's the y-intercept? Can anyone tell me what the y-intercept even is? Like, what does that mean, y-intercept? It's where your line hits the y-axis. Okay, so where does it hit the y-axis?
0, negative 2.
0, negative 2. And you can just put just negative 2. So it hits it at negative 2, right? And you can see that just by looking at the graph. Okay, and then if I want it in slope-intercept form, what else do I need? The slope. Yeah, and if I want x and y intercepts, I could find that, but I want my slope. Now, how many of you like abbreviating things? You don't like writing the whole thing out? Yeah. So I'm going to put this out, and you tell me what that means. slope. When you see m, you think of slope. So m equals, how do you find that slope? Yeah, rise over run. So here, we'll start with this point and go down to that point. So do I go up or down? 1, 2. I go down 2, and then over to the right 2, so that's positive 2. What's negative 2 over positive 2? Negative 1 is my slope, okay? I have my y-intercept and I have my slope. I have enough to get slope-intercept form. So who can tell me slope-intercept form? Like, what does it look like? Remember, just say it. You got to memorize this eventually. So someone say it. Andrew. This is the slope-intercept form, the basic format. Y equals mx plus b. What are the two values you need to substitute? You need to tell me what m is, and you need to tell me what b is. All right, so let's start with the easy one. What's m? All right, so I'm going to write y equals negative 1 x. So I'm just going to write y equals negative 1 x. And then what does b stand for? We haven't even really brought that up on this one. It stands for the y-intercept. What's the y-intercept? Negative 2. Slope-intercept form has been written there. Just from those 2 points. Okay. What does x and y stand for? I have x and y in the general format, and I still have x and y. I didn't substitute with any numbers. What does x and y stand for? That's a hard answer, but hopefully I can explain it here. Okay, do you guys know what happens if I put, instead of x, if I put 0? Do you know what I'm going to get? It's already up there. You're going to get negative 2, right? If you put x in, what are you going to get? Negative 2. If I put negative 2 in, what am I going to get? 0, right? Because I got those ordered pairs. How many ordered pairs do you think I can get from this one equation, technically? Infinite, because how many points are on this line? Infinite. There's infinite those two directions. So this x and that y represent all the ordered pairs that you can come up with, which are how many? Infinite. So they're infinite values. And they change, so they're variables. What doesn't change in this graph? The slope and the y-intercept. They're one number here, one number there. And so those are constants. Okay. I think you guys did well on that one. Let's move on. Draw me another graph, 5 by 5 by 5 by 5. And then I'll give you a couple points here. I'll see if you guys can do this a little bit better on your own. So 5 by 5 by 5 by 5. And again, thankfully today, you're going to get the graph. You don't have to draw it out today because we got some practice yesterday. Okay, the first point I want you to put on that graph is 0, 5. 0, 5 on that graph. So starting with the origin, I don't go left or right, but I do go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a little point right there. And then the second point I want you to put is 1, 1. 1, 1. So this was 0, 5, and this was 1, 1. Okay, and then I'm hoping hopefully you know after we get 2 points we get a line. So connect them up. All right, I want you to write this equation in slope-intercept form. So what do you need? You need the y-intercept and the slope. Okay, so go ahead and try it out. Get the y-intercept. Where does that line cross the y-axis? And I want you to find the slope. What is the rise over the run? By the way, the slope must be what? You might not know the numbers, but it must be this value. Negative. It has to be negative. Whatever it is negative. Something. Okay. Brad, when you're ready, give me the y-intercept. And then Jackson, when you're ready, get me the slope. No, you can just tell me.
5.
Okay, it hits the y-axis at 5. It's right there. We drew a dot there, by the way. Good job. And then Jackson, do you know what the slope is? negative 4. How'd you get that?
Down 4 and over
1, 2, 3, 4. You went negative 4 and then over positive 1. So what's negative 4 over positive 1? Negative 4. Good. All right, can you guys write that in slope-intercept form if you haven't already? Y equals blah, 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 blah. Fill in those blahs. Get me that Y-intercept, slope-intercept form. And if you're done with that, get ready to do the next step. Hagen, what's your Y equals mx plus b?
Y equals negative 4x plus 5.
Very good. That's it. How many of you got that? Okay, good. How many of you would have gotten that? Okay, because some of you didn't raise your hand. Okay. I want you to get this in standard form. You may begin. Starting now. So you're like, wait, what's standard form? Who can say standard form for me? What's the general format?
AX plus BY equals C.
Very good. The x term and the y term are on one side, the constants on the other. It is a one-step problem. Sorry. So if you're doing all these things like manipulating, doing this, no, one step. Okay, look at my equation here. You see how the y term is on one side, the x term is on the other? What do you think I have to do? Get that x term over to the other side. And how do I get negative 4x over here? Add 4x to both sides. Right? You get rid of that negative 4x, but how do I write it so it's properly standard form? 4x plus y equals, that's standard form right there. One step. Sorry? No, ask a question if you have it. It's okay.
Like for standard form, it's AX equals it's
Okay, how about this? You got, okay, ready? So do you notice that the A and the M are kind of related? Like you said this is A, right? You said that's AX, but then you said the other one's like kind of M. Okay. Well, this is what I thought you were saying, and I thought, okay, this is kind of cool what you're getting. Is this A in standard form? 4. It's A. And then do you remember how I said the shortcut was to find the slope from standard form, you take A over B? So these two numbers right here, A and B, relate to the slope somehow. Ready? What's 4 divided by 1? Opposite of 4? Mm-hmm. All right, what's C over B? 5. So that's where you get those numbers. They are all there together. Okay. Yes, sir?
What happens if it's a three-step?
Okay. What's nice about this right here is if you get in slope-intercept form, it almost always is a one-step to standard form. So once you get it here, all you have to do is take that term and move it over there. Got it standard form. Yeah, so that's nice. Slope-intercept is good, and so is standard. Okay. Not yet. I need you guys to practice one more. Sorry. One more. On page 167. On page 167. I didn't want to draw this out because it might confuse you all, but I want you to do on the try these, number 3. You're like, what in the world? Okay, do you notice they're not going up by 1s? They're not going up by 2s. Those little tick marks are not 1s and 2s. What are they? Not 50. 20. They're up by 25. So every tick mark is up 25, then 50, 75, 100. That's what they're trying to say. And I'll help some of you because that might be confusing. So I'll just draw it out and kind of point things out. Get it in slope-intercept form, and then get it to standard form. So do both, but I recommend doing slope, then standard. Okay, they're going up by 25s. So the first point is that's up there is 0, 100. This up here is 0, 100. And then the other point is negative 50, 0. Negative 50, 0. So that does mean something because it makes the math a little bit different. Okay. What is the y-intercept? 100. And you're like, all I have to do is look at the graph? Yep. It's positive 100. It's just 100. All right. What's the slope? This is where you need to be careful about slope here. Okay, watch what I'm going to do here, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong. From this point, I'm going to go 25, 50, 75, 100. I went down 100, right? Technically? Is that what I did? And then I went to the left, negative 50. Negative 50. So what's the slope? Oh, I heard. Okay, it's 2. The slope is 2. But positive or negative? How do you know it's positive? Because I'm pretty sure that's negative.
It is negative.
It has to be positive, right? How many of you didn't do from here to here? You did from here to here. So you went up 100 and you went over to the right 50. What's 100 over 50? It's still 2. So it doesn't matter which one you pick. Just make sure you get the right signs. All right, who got slope-intercept? Michelle, do you have slope-intercept using this info? Okay. Anna Grace, do you have slope-intercept using that info?
No.
Okay. Let's see, third time's a try. The charm here. Hudson? Okay.
Y equals 100x plus 2.
Close. I think those numbers. So where does the m go next to the x? Drew, what's the equation?
2x plus 100.
So it should be y equals 2x plus 100. Okay? And that's slope-intercept. William, what's standard? And okay, if you need time, that's okay. Sam, what is standard? All right, third time here. Let's see. Got another one to throw. Henry, what's standard?
It would be 2x plus y equals 100.
Close. Super close. Okay, it should be negative 2x plus y equals 100. So that's standard form. That's slope-intercept form. Why is it negative? Because I'm pretty sure it was positive here, and you are right. You have to subtract 2x on both sides. Okay, you guys good on that? Listen carefully. Go ahead and go to the homework page, and I would not start doing something because then you're going to do more than you need to. So go to page 185, then you'll write your assignment because I want to explain what you're trying to do there. All right, on page 185, everyone should be on 185 in your workbooks so you can see what I'm talking about here. Page 185. All right, in about 10 seconds, I'm going to give you what I want here. Almost most of you have. Okay, on numbers 2 through 6, it says identify the slope and the y-intercept. Yes, do that. Then write the equation in slope-intercept form and standard form. If you're listening, you'll do this. If not, that's your fault. Cross out standard form. You're not going to do that on that problem, on those problems. Just cross out standard form. Don't ask for a repeat. I'm not telling you that again, since I expected you to listen 3 times ago. Okay. Then on 8 through 18, you just have to write it in slope-intercept form. So that's all it's asking. You don't have to graph. Just slope-intercept form, you're done. We're going to start up our graphing back when we come back on Tuesday since we have Monday off. So we'll get some review on that. I hope you guys are doing okay and you may begin.